things in heaven and earth and are dreadful owls.
Hello, welcome to Louis Sinclair Investigates. When I first started this in-depth investigation into the extraordinary Dodleston mysteries over 500 days ago, I honestly had no idea what I was letting myself in for, hence the amount of time it's taken. The source book, The Vertical Plane by Ken Webster, is brilliant, but when you really start to get into it, it does sometimes feel like a jigsaw puzzle without the picture on the box to help us. And my task was to put the pieces together so we can see the full picture. You see, it's not just an intriguing story, with messages appearing on a BBC microcomputer in the 1980s, coming from a fugitive priest, Lucas Wainman, living under the threat of execution for witchcraft in the early 1500s. Communications through time. No, not just that. But, as I discovered, it's a rabbit hole, a deep, twisting, bizarre rabbit hole of cryptic clues, layers and layers of them, ultimately leading to Middle Eastern numerology and Mayan prophecies, and how they've eventually become relevant to our modern world. And the good news is, I've finished. And if you look down below in the description area, you'll find links there to all the videos. Just scroll, click, and you'll be taken to them instantly. The Dodleston Mysteries, the full picture, comprises 6 videos. The first 3 tell a story, starting with The Past, where we meet a rather vindictive sheriff who realises that Lucas is using a box of lights, a computer, to chat with folk who, from their point of view, live in the distant future. He's guilty of witchcraft, says the sheriff, and has Lucas thrown into a dungeon, facing certain execution. And the big question is, will the 1980s folk figure out a way to save Lucas's life? Then the future, where we meet an entity known as 2109 who appears to be running an experiment with time. An unstable experiment that seems to be at the heart of all these strange goings-on. We find out that 2109 is actually a collective, rather like Star Trek's Borg in effect, but thankfully with slightly better manners. But only slightly. The collective has a plan that seems to be going wrong, and this all-powerful but very moody entity is getting scared and angry, because by trying to save Lucas's life, the 1980s folk are guilty of the so-called grandfather paradox, changing the past, so screwing up 2109's experiment, and thereby potentially risking the stability of time and reality. And then, in the final 3 episodes, we put on our detective hats. First, we spot the cryptic clues so cleverly concealed in Lucas's messages and figure out what they mean. Then we weigh up whether it's all a hoax, either us being hoaxed by the 1980s folk, or they being hoaxed by paranormal entities. And finally, we look at a secret code hidden in the messages, a cipher that ultimately reveals the true meaning of the Dodleston mysteries. A message through time aimed at us today. A cipher, by the way, that seemingly has never been cracked before. So, as I said, this intriguing story and its cryptic clues are just a scroll and a click away. So get ready for a truly brain-melting mystery, and I hope you find it as fascinating as I did when I first disappeared down the rabbit hole that is the Dodleston mysteries. Have fun. Cheerio.